Hope you all have been enjoying your week as we're wrapping it up on this Friday Eve. It's been a busy one, to say the least. A lot has been happening. So, to get straight to the point this evening, we are going to be discussing the topic of mindfulness as we approach the ending of the 2025 year. And in regards to mindfulness, I'd like to be able to take a moment for us to be able to keep in mind those who may be sick and shut in, for lack of a better word. When I say sick and shut in, I mean those who may have some type of illness that prevents them to be independent and able to move about outside of their households. Some people are really depressed behind this. Some others are dealing with depression in other forms, maybe because of loss they have experienced throughout the year. I personally have been going to therapy because I lost my sister in June of this year. My younger sister. It was unexpectedly. She had a heart attack. And with that being said, for those who are grieving, please know that you don't have to be in isolation with losing a loved one. There are plenty of virtual support groups out here. I know that some even take health insurances, so please be inspired to seek some type of counseling so that you will know that you're not alone, and also you'll know that or you will learn rather some coping mechanisms, okay, tools for lack of better words, that when you may be about to approach an episode, you'll be able to counteract it. And it's no time limit on grieving, so I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is there are ways to help get through, and especially during this time of year, as we often reflect on yesteryear, what we were doing at this time, who was around versus this time of year where we are. And with the therapy, one of the things that I find to be a benefit is that I don't have to feel despaired. So if any of you are feeling despaired out there, please contact, there's a number that is available, and unfortunately I don't have it in front of me. If anyone wants to know that information, please just write in, let us know. We'll get that information for you. And with that said, let me make sure you all have the YouTube link for my channel. And it's a little lengthy, so please bear with me. I'm going to read it out loud, and then I'll post it again in the future so that you all can just click on it and join in our live discussion. That address is https://www.youtube.com/apps/overlay, all one word, lowercase.
Give them the link to your YouTube.
Oh,
Channel.
okay. I thought that was the link to the YouTube channel.
No, your username.
Oh, the
Your
at
username, June.
yeah, it's at June0932.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Thanks to my producer saving me. So short and sweet. You can tune in through YouTube at June0932. I will get the hang of this sooner than later. Okay. And as I said before, I will definitely be able to provide some links if you need them, or any type of resources for any type of counseling, but especially with the grief counseling, because I myself right now am utilizing it, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Again, there's no time limit on grieving. However, we want to be able not to be stagnated or stuck, because one thing about life is that we are born to die. I know a lot of people don't like to discuss that topic, but we here at Saida's Orchid Room, what's our famous saying, our motto? Just keep it real. So, with that being said, I'm going to transition a little more into acknowledging our elders. Many of us may have elders who are not able to be as independent as they were yesteryear. So, aging, of course, is keeping some people at home or not as mobile as they like to be. Perhaps they have to depend on others to get around. I know that can be a very humbling experience, especially with folks who are used to being independent. That can also lead to people not feeling too fulfilled, knowing that they have to wait on someone else, whether that means to help them dress, help them bathe, go grocery shopping. So please, by all means, if you do have any elders that you can reach out to, not just during this season, but consistently. I know we're all busy right now. However, just reaching out, if it can't be in person, a phone call, it just takes a moment. Um, and some folks, elders really prefer the old school methods of communication. Send a card, it can be a blank card, something you write yourself, or something that you could buy that states your sentiments. You can never go wrong with that. Writing a letter. You could write a letter, although I know nowadays writing is kind of be a little obsolete. Type it up. Send it in a note. Um, for a person to receive mail may seem small, especially to my younger generations that may be tuning in. But for those of the elder generation, that's the time they came up in. So it's a little special added touch to let people know, hey, I'm thinking of you. Some people even send edible arrangements. I know that can be a little costly, depending upon what you're working with. So, you know, if that is a thought and you may not be able to order it per se, you can always go to the Dollar Tree, get yourself a nice basket, go to grocery store and pick up a bag of apples, thing of bananas, and just assort it yourself. Be creative. A lot of times when we do create gifts ourselves, they're so much more personable than when we go out and actually buy something. With many elders, I find they just enjoy being able to talk about their daily lives. Most of the time we're hectic and we're chasing after our own schedules, but you'd be surprised at how many elders out here are very lively and on the move. I remember prior to my great uncle and my uncle passing in 2020 and 2021, respectively, they would be overjoyed when just to see me, like, oh wow, he thought about me. And even if I were to call to say, I'm going to come by today, it gave them something to look forward to. And I didn't take it for granted, just popping up and showing, like assuming they would be home, because as my great uncle used to say, bless his heart, may he rest in peace, he died at the age of 86. He told us long before he passed, I got lifestyles too. I still get tickled by that to this day. He let us know at the age of 80 some years old, don't look for me. Please don't send the police out If I am not home or unavailable, it's because I have lifestyles too. Oh, gotta love it, gotta love it. So, again, when we do reach out to each other, by reaching out to each other, it helps us to also feel better within. A lot of times we may not know what to do for others. Sometimes people are just too proud to ask for help. So, it's not a big deal to ask someone, do you need help with anything? Would you like for me to touch base with you on Saturday to see if I can pick up your medicines? Sometimes I know it's getting cold out, but when it's warmer, you can invite people on walks. Sometimes with folks who are elderly, they're not really up for getting out in the cold, which is fine too. But when it is warmer weather, feel free to just, you know, visit someone who's older and have a nice little walk. Doesn't have to be long, but you'd be surprised at what they're willing to share with you. I always loved talking to older people ever since I was younger, just to hear about the experiences they had when they were younger. And quite often, I could always learn from something, regardless of how, modern times were. So please, for those who are feeling depressed, one of the good ways to break through depression is to see whom else you can help. I find that most people find joy in helping others. A lot of times in doing so, it takes our minds off of our own personal struggles, our own personal worries, from being consumed. Mental consumption is more draining a lot of times than physical, stress. So please, again, if you can just think about that during bouts of depression, if you are able bodied, let me see who I can help. And if you don't know and you do have access to resources where you can go online, even if it's through a phone, doesn't always have to be a tablet or a computer. You can Google groups that you can, maybe volunteer and be a part of. I know that many charities at this point in time are looking for volunteers to help feed the homeless, to help volunteer for various events that's coming up, especially with the holidays around the corner. So you don't have to sit and feel like you're, controlled by your depression or darkness. If you're not able to get out of the house, please do research for maybe an online group. You might like something as far as, because a lot of people don't feel comfortable sharing their trauma to strangers. And if you're one of those people, and you're not comfortable with maybe joining a religious community, please try to figure out, what it is that you may be passionate about. I'm asking you to dig deep because a lot of times when we're in depressed mode, we seem to just not be able to think of anything that is worthy or that we may be worthy of. So, again, if there's a family member you trust, speak to them. Don't sit in silence. Please do not isolate yourselves, because quite often when folks don't feel well, they just don't want to be bothered. Please know that is a form of being taken over by dark spirits. Isolation is a form of the darkness. Not saying that we don't need moments to ourselves in order to hear, our inner voices to grow, but isolation is dangerous. The mind is a powerful thing. One of the things I love within my religious community is a saying that says we control our minds don't control us. The thing about the mind is that it can be unstable very subtly. One minute we can be in the present and the next in the past or the future. But as the old saying goes, the present is a gift. So please, by all means, don't allow yourself to be overtaken with darkness due to depression because there's people out here who need to hear from you. People out here who may be going through something similar to what you're going through, and just hearing your voice can uplift them. I can't explain to you how many people within the last week have said that to me alone. And it really helped to encourage me because, this time of year is very hectic. Um, Trying to meet deadlines can be overwhelming. And just to get that type of compliment that it's like, you're helping me, sis. And I'm like, wow, you're helping me in saying that. So let's help each other. It's enough selfishness going on out here. We have more than enough self absorbed folks running things, quote unquote. So, if you like to have more ideas of like what kind of gifts to send to people, just to let them know you're thinking about them, please let us know. If you have ideas and suggestions, please share them. We definitely want to hear from you. Definitely. So, in a little bit, we're going to take a break. And for those who are tuning in to the live stream, please don't feel afraid to ask questions, even if it's not about the topic I'm talking about tonight. Those of you who may have seen any prior podcasts and want to chime in about those, please by all means do so. Again, I'm so excited that this is our first live stream. In weeks to come, we will have more guests. As some of you may know, who was able to catch up to last week's podcast, we had the amazing Empress Neil join us. She gave us some fabulous recipes for alternative dishes to make for the holiday season and just to eat in general, in case you're trying to upgrade your your palate or change your palate. Eat clean is the word the words I'm looking for those who are in the plant-based, if you would, vegan, pescatarian stage of life. And so she'll be back next month as well to share some more fantastic dishes and recipes. So in the meantime, you can just go to the channel and check them out because we'll be posting them as she sends them to us. Next week, we will be taking a small break, being that it'll be the Thanksgiving holiday. Excuse me. So some folks will be traveling. Some folks will be resting. We are going to honor that holiday, and in our absence, I'm hoping that you will be able to catch up on some of the podcasts that we've had previously recorded, and then we can discuss a little bit about what to look forward to next month in December, quickly approaching us. It's 2026 around the corner, so I'd like to ask you all to please stay tuned, and we shall be back in a few seconds. Thank you.
One.
Alrighty, so we're back. Thank you for returning with us. And it was just brought to my attention that we did have a slight difficulty with the sound. So, with that being said, we're going to reiterate a little bit of what I was speaking about previously. As I was telling you all, the podcast title tonight is about mindfulness because there are some folks currently that are experiencing different emotions that may not be pleasant at this time of year right now due to various reasons. One, they may be sick and shut in. And by that I mean they may have some sort of illness that prevents them from leaving their homes. Um, Also, it may be due to the fact that right now they're recovering from surgery. Perhaps someone has an illness that they were born with, and they're just trying to be able to grapple that mentally. Some other people right now are dealing with depression. Depression can be caused from a number of things. Right now, some folks are in between jobs. Thank goodness the government has reopened for folks to return to getting paid. But how about those folks who were not employed with the government and they're still struggling to make ends meet? They're doing battle with themselves over celebrating the holiday season or eating. Some people are trying to decide whether or not should they buy their medication that they need opposed to putting gas in their car. So let's be mindful of folks who are, less fortunate than we may be. There's also other people right now who are dealing with grief, loss. And I did mention previously that I lost my younger sister, my baby sister, this year in June. It was sudden. It was not expected due to a heart attack. And because of that, I'm now in grief counseling therapy, which I find to be beneficial. And for anyone out there who is dealing with a loss and they're grieving, please, by all means, don't isolate yourselves. There's no time limit on grieving, and there's no reason to feel ashamed. Um, you don't have to feel angry because that loved one is no longer here. If you do decide to join therapy, whereby it's in a group or individually, nowadays they have a lot of places that offer virtual, so you can just attend sessions right in your home. And for those of you who may be concerned about out of pocket expenses, there are some medical coverage that is medical assistance that you can get to be able to be seen by some of these therapists. If you don't have access to those resources and you need that information, write into us and let us know. We'll find that out for you, and we'll be able to relay it. If you yourselves have any information that we can share with Saida's Orchid Worm audience, please, by all means, share. We welcome the information. The goal is to keep ourselves uplifted, especially during this time of year, so that we can, end 2025 peacefully and bring in 2026 joyfully. And a lot of times that takes the mindfulness to do so. A lot of times mental exhaustion can weigh us down more than physical exhaustion. And when we isolate ourselves or seclude ourselves, quite often we'll think it's just us, you know? And that's the workings of the darkness. Because 9 times out of 10, what one individual is experiencing, there's probably 50,000 others. And that's not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all. One of the other things that I had mentioned previously was about the folks who may be in places where you can send packages such as edible arrangements, gifts for people who may be in nursing homes, retirement communities, hospitals, and for those who aren't. And if you can't afford to, purchase an edible arrangement and have it delivered, if you're able to, the Dollar Tree is very resourceful. Go get a basket. You know, you can get some artificial flowers and put them in there. Grab a card. You know, you can put a little note on a blank card, letting that person be aware that you're thinking of them, how important they are to you, and why. And then you can always go to like the grocery store and grab a piece of fruit here and there and assemble it yourselves. It doesn't always have to be store bought. People usually appreciate gifts that are handmade more so than those that we go out and spend thousands of dollars on. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some very materialistic folks out here that want the big gifts, the shiny, you know, doodads, and so on and so forth. But those who are genuine, they just appreciate the fact that someone took time out of their busy schedule to consider them, you know. And we also have to keep in mind that one day it could be one of us. It could be us who are out here right now, able bodied, moving about, that all of a sudden we can't be as independent as we like to be, whereby we have to depend on others, whereby we're wondering, is anybody thinking of me? So, you know, before any of that has to occur, should occur, let's just, you know, keep in mind about others who may not be right in front of us for whatever reason it may be, but they're in our thoughts, you know, and throughout our busy schedules, let's make time to stop and let somebody know we're thinking of them. You never know. You could be saving someone's life. You really could be. And by helping a family or individuals who may not have at this time of year, you know, they may not always express it. If you are aware or you notice someone or a family that could use some help, do it anonymously. I've done it times before, you know, where there's been families that may have had small children. And I was able to donate, you know, some gloves and toothpaste, shampoo, toilet paper, just everyday needs. And I'm just telling you, I felt good in doing it. And they just felt even more good because of the simple fact they didn't have to ask for it, they didn't have to beg, but somebody thought about them, you know. And in turn, they ended up getting a better job. And after they got a better job, they actually started helping volunteer to serve dinners at various halls during different occasions. So, you know, you just never know whose heart you're touching when you do reach out to others, in spite of being very busy, right? So, the last thing I wanted to wrap up with, as we reflect upon, you know, our loved ones who have gone on, as well as those that are here and still with us, please, oh please, don't let something tragic happen in order for you to communicate. Let somebody know, you know, I'm thinking of you. Um, haven't seen you in a while. And from there, we can keep the bridges from burning. You know, now would also be a good time if you have had some fallouts with people in the past to reach out and just let it go. Drop it. Drop the grudge. You never know who really misses having you in their lives. And it could be over the pettiest things. Life is too short, folks. Life's too short out here for us to be holding on to any type of petty grudges. You know, communication, dialogue. We are grown folks that tune into Saida's Orchid Room. Even for my youngsters that tune in, you know, we are wise folks. And we're going to keep on seeking to elevate one another, you know. In doing so, we can definitely resist being selfishly self absorbed, and more than that, overcome a lot of the materialism that's going on right now, and trying to keep up with things that we basically should not be. Let's use common sense, sound judgment. And when I say sound judgment, I don't mean of others, I mean of ourselves individually, non competitively, you know, and rebuild society with love, with the spirit of giving service unto others, not being a fool. That's not what I'm saying, but to bridge gaps that really shouldn't be there. You know, sometimes just can't help it, with family, sometimes friends, sometimes even within our religious communities. But I think when we do take time to just reflect just a little bit on what can I do to step outside of self, just for a moment, we grow and we unite. Okay, and that's not to say that we neglect ourselves by thinking and doing for everyone else, but it does help us to feel more fulfilled in knowing that we can help the next person and not feel, like no one's thinking of me or, everyone is out for themselves. I'm so overwhelmed with hearing that from people in society, especially when I hear young people say it. So, folks in my age group, 45 and up, okay, let's be great shining examples for the younger generations. Okay, even if that means we gotta take it back old school to where we just do not buy anything for these holiday seasons, but we gather together to celebrate each other and those who are not here with us any longer. Alrighty, folks, I'm really looking forward to having more inclusive dialogues with my audience. And, if there's anything that you all can share based on any of the dialogues that we've had here on the previous podcasts, please feel free to you can just type it up on the YouTube channel. We'd like to read everyone's comments and also like to have folks be able to dialogue with one another, not just with me. So we're going to be reading the comments. Alrighty. I look forward to seeing you all again, not next Thursday, the following Thursday, which will be the first Thursday in December. That'll be December 4th. We may have a guest. So, with that being said, the stream may be live, it may be recorded, but please keep up with the channel for updates. If you're on Facebook, please look at my fan page. That will keep you in the know of what's up and coming here. And as I said before, we're going to have some more interviews in December. We'll have a poet stop by. We'll have the lovely Empress Neil back again. And one of my favorites, Musa. So take care, you all. Please stay warm. Be vigilant. Cognitive, especially when you're on the road out there driving. Take your time. Get to your destination safely, to and from. Hug each other up. I'll see you soon. Mwah, 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 mwah.